Ruvain.
My family from upstate New York. White. That's wimpy.
My daughter lived in White Plains for 3 years.
Yeah, but they threw her out. She's Jewish.
Oh, you see, there's a very nice young Israel there.
Yeah. Good morning. Do I have a pen? Sure, I can loan you a pen for a moment. Absolutely. Okay, we're going to get started with the.
But don't forget to tell Bob.
Where's Bob?
He's coming up.
How many you got, Bob?
Right now, 3 on the list.
3?
Yes.
Put two green bum.
Now we have green zone.
2 green bombs, and you got 2 birds.
Two birds, if you get a little far, you can get rid of the
I'm going to start the learning sponsors and then we'll get right on to the. Right? Yeah. Learning, it's a year of learning by Sue and Arnie Gerlich. In memory of Malka Proman and Philip Mann and Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Beryl ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Yosef Meir ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Henya Rivka Pro Rosna bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. In memory of family murdered in the Holocaust, Harav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah bat Ephraim, Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Sharon and Fred Liska, their family and many friends. In memory of her dear mom, Harriet Friedman Edelbat Yaakov. Leslie and Gail Kaplan, in memory of their parents. Harry and Marjorie Sedell, Irving and Pearl Kaplan. Friends of Avi Gidler, Avrameir ben Shimon and Martha Gidler, Charna Bat Yeshaya. Children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris. Sarah Tova Bat Yisrael Dov in her memory. Friends of Joe Wolf, Yosef Ben Chaim, Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata Bat Asher. Friends of Nina Moynester, Nechama Azna Bat Yitzchak Aron. Many friends of Stephen Vigder, Zecher Nishmat Simcha Melech Ben Meir Leib Halevi. Friends of Marcy Kurtz in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracha. A month of learning by Haran and Mel Haller in memory of her mother, Malka Rachel Bat Yehuda Leib. B. Pizer in memory of her husband, Rav Yisrael Chaim Ben David. Tova and Leo Zimmer in memory of her mother, Henya Bat Rav Beryl, and her father, Aaron Ben Yosef Mordechai. Perry and Jill Meltzer in memory of his mother, Malka Bat Baruch, and his sister, Goldalea Bat David Halevi. Stanley Presser in memory of his mother-in-law, Golda Bat Avram, his mother, Leah Bat Yehuda, and his wife, Ruchel Mincha Bat Moshe. A week of learning. Marvin Becker in memory of his father, Yaakov Ben Meir. Judy Iger in memory of her mother, Bela Bat Anshel Yitzchak. Barbara Gallendauer in memory of her husband, Avram Ben Yonatan. Today is the, 11th? Right? That's it. Today's not the 12th yet. 11th. May Shem is having a Leah, Cranker, a few Velti, Shur Shema Tlia. B'nai Israel, a good gebench jar. Okay. Ruvain, I know Ruvain's there. I know Steve is there. Harvey, you there?
I'm here.
Okay. What about Sid? What's got to check on Sid? Yeah. Okay. All right. So on the bottom of Kaf Tet Amud Beis. Okay, starting in the very bottom, towards the bottom line. Okay. Itmar Chaliot Va'ata Tetzave. Okay, I'm starting the next to the last line. Okay, and what if they were reading V'ata Tetzave? Okay, what would be, we said, according to the pattern in Eretz Yisrael, Amar Rav Yitzchak Nafcha, Karu Shita mi Ve'ata Tetzava. 6 would read from Ve'ata Tetzava, Ad Ki Tisi, Ad Ki Tisa, V'chad mi Ki Tisa V'ad Asita. Okay, So that was his position. Now, Amar Abaye. So Abaye, as we continue on today's daf, on the top of Lamed, Amud Aleph, right? Amrei. Okay, what does he say? Okumehi dekam mukme hatan. Okay, in other words, you would simply extend the regular reading, is his suggestion. Okay, and as a result of that, and you'd not have a separate section for shkolim, right? Ela Amar Abaye. All right, so further Abaye says, Karu Shita mi va'ata tetzaveh, that you would have 6 read from va'ata tetzaveh, ad va'asita, v'chad tane v'kare, and then one would repeat and then read Miki Tisa ad va'asita. That was his point. Now,
You repeat 6 psukim.
right, that was his suggestion. Now, 3 on Lamed Amud Aleph, 4 lines down. May Tive. We'll challenge this, right? So, okay, so again, we're still dealing with the portion to be read on Shkalim. Okay, that is our situation. Before or after the regular portion. Okay. Chaliot b'parsha hasmuchala. If the occasion, right, for reading Shkalim, okay, was going to be before or after the regular, right?
Psukim immediately.
Right before it, it's there, okay, and then you have a section that was your normal reading, okay, so is it before it or after it in the text, right? It's muchala bein milfaneha bein mil'achareha, okay, so here, that's the question, right? Because the Gemara is going to ultimately raise an issue. What happens if you say, here's the normal section, and the section we're supposed to read for Shekalim is before it, or the section we're supposed to read about Shekalim is after it, okay? Does it make a difference, right? Is the implication. Well, that's part of it too.
That was the previous.
Okay, so now my question is, says this writer, Chali od b'parshas muchala bein milefaneha bein la'achareha. Okay, what happens? Korin ota v'koflin ota. It says basically we read it, okay, and we repeat it. Okay, la briut. Okay, so the Gemara says, right, bishlema la'abaye nechem. For Abaye, that's acceptable. That's reasonable. Ela Rabbi Yitzchak nafcha kasha. But for his view as what to do, that's problematic. We're going to say why in a moment. Amar lach Rabbi Yitzchak nafacha. What did he say? Ula Abaye minicha. And is it really appropriate? Is it really comfortable, acceptable for Abaye? Okay. Teinach lefaneha. It's one thing to say if the section, okay, was in front of the regular section, okay? Because why? All right, why is that acceptable? Because we're going to say, he said you can repeat it. So you read it, okay? Read the portion, then you just repeat it again for Shkalim, all right? La'achara, hechi mishkachat la. Is it ever possible to find it when it's a situation that's coming after? Elamai itlach lamema. So what are you going to say? Kofla b'Shabbatot. Maybe we have to read it on 2 successive Shabbases. Maybe that's how we have to do it. Read it one time as part of the regular parsha, and one time for the Shkalim section. Okay. Hacha nami kofla b'Shabbatot. Here too, maybe we would have to read it on 2 successive Shabbatot. So a new piece in the Gemara. Chaliot, okay, b'chitisa atzma. Let's say it's in that section, okay, itself. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak nefacha. What do? Karu shita min va'asita ad vayaker. okay, that you read 6 people read in that section, right? V'chad kare mi kitisa va'ad asita. And one would read the other section, okay? Now, right, why does this seem to be problematic? We're going to see in a moment, okay? All right, because the Gemara,
Going back.
right, so now what happens? Mat kifla Abaye. Abaye challenges him. Hashta amre. Here we would say, if you're going to follow that example, lemafreyahu dekare, that he's reading the regular weekly portion out of sequence. That's what's happening. Okay? Ela amar Abaye. But rather, this is what Abaye meant to tell us. Karushita advayake. Okay? That 6 would read up right to vayake. V'chad tane. And one then would repeat. V'kare mikitisa ad va'asita. And that one would then read, okay, from kitisa until asita.
They overlap.
Right? So that would be his argument, his explanation. Tanya kivate debai. Okay? And now we have a Braita that seems to teach according to the view of Abaye. Okay? We're on Lamed Amud Aleph, first wide line. Okay? Chaliyot b'kitisa atzma. Let's say this Braita says, what about if it's in, again, kitisa itself, atzma, korinota v'koflinota. We read it and then we repeat it. That would be the point. Okay, new piece from our Mishnah. Chaliot betoch Shabbat, makdimin l'Shabbat she'avra. Okay, if it comes out the Rosh Chodesh in the middle of the week, okay, what do? All right, the Mishnah said we advance it back to the previous Shabbos. Okay, Itmar. On this, the following was said. Rosh Chodesh Adar, Shechaliot Be'erev Shabbat. What happens if the Rosh Chodesh Adar comes out on Friday, right? Rav Amar Makdimin. According to Rav, we still advance it to the previous Shabbat. In other words, what is that, 6 days ahead, right? Right? Ushmuel Amar Ma'achrin. And Shmuel disagrees and says, no, we read it on
The next day.
the very next day. Exactly. Okay? Rav Amar Makdimin. Rav says we advance it. The Im Kain Batzrei Laho Yomei Shulchanot. That if we don't do that, then we've limited or narrowed down the number of days that we're allowing the tables to be put out for the for the Trumot, for the collection of Shkolim. Right? Shmuel Amar Ma'achrin. And Shmuel says we put it off till the next day, which would really only allow maybe 2 weeks. Okay?
Usually you're not doing it at all. If it's the following Shabbos, you're not gonna put the tables out on Shabbos.
No, you're doing it, put the
We'll do
tables
it
out on
Sunday
Sunday.
morning.
Sunday.
But I'm saying, how is it actually delaying anything?
That's
Because
Shmuel's
That's
answer.
what we're going to see. That's what we're going to see. All right? Ushmuel Amar Ma'achrin. Okay? And Shmuel says we put it off. Just we read it the Shabbos after after that
Which
day,
is the next
that
day.
Friday Rosh Chodesh, which is the next day. Amar Lach. He says, Sof Chamiser b'ma'alei Shabta mikle. Ultimately, he says, Shmuel, right? You'd still have, okay, 5. I want to phrase it this way: Chamisa b'ma'alei Shabta. Okay, you'd still have 2 weeks. Okay, because the occasion would then be Erev Shabbos. All right, that's when it would come out. All right. V'shulchanot lo nafke ad chad b'Shabbat, and the tables wouldn't be put out till
Bankers
the
aren't gonna schlep and then spend a week.
till the Sunday. So in other words, what would happen? According to Shmuel, if Rosh Chodesh Adar is Friday, you would read Shkalim on the next day, Saturday. The Shulchan Out would go out on Sunday, okay? And you'd still have a period of 2 weeks, okay? Before that would be the,
Shmuel is saying basically it doesn't really change anything because they're not gonna come Friday and then wait over Shabbos.
right,
They're
that's
gonna
true
come
too.
Sunday morning.
That-
leave
that-
at
that's a
8.
little different shot, but that's true as well. Hilkach ma'achrin. Therefore, Shmuel said, therefore we can wait, put it off to one day. Now, Mishnah, another Mishnah Tznan. Chaliot b'tocha Shabbat. Our Mishnah said that when it comes out during the week, Rosh Chodesh, during that week, makdimim l'she'avar, that we advance it back to the previous Shabbos. And as a result, umafsikin l'Shabbat acheret. And therefore we would skip, pause, however term we want to use, we would have a break in the order of the, you'd have one, Shkalim, then you'd have a Shabbos that did not have a special portion, then you'd continue with the other 3, okay? That would be the point that the Gemara is making for us. Okay? My love, afilu be'erev Shabbat, wouldn't that be viable also if the Rosh Chodesh came out on Erev Shabbos? No, he says, b'toch Shabbat dafka. No, it deals with the fact that when it comes out, Rosh Chodesh specifically during the week, he says. Tashma, but listen to the following Braita. Ezohi Shabbat Rishonah. Okay, what as we said then is the first Shabbat of the series of the 4 special, right? What is it? Ezohi Shabbat Rishonah. Kol Shechal Rosh Chodesh Adar Liot B'tocha. Okay, it is the week. Which is that special week? The week in which it comes out within it.
Chodesh is within that week.
Yeah, Rosh Chodesh is within that week, which is what I just said. Va'afilu be'erev Shabbat, says this Braita, even if it's on that Friday of that week. Okay? My love, what is it not? Afilu be'erev Shabbat, dumia detocha. Does this not seem to imply that if the Rosh Chodesh came out on Friday, it's similar to if it came out earlier, an earlier day in the week, right? Ma tocham makdimin, af erev Shabbat makdimin. The same way, if it came out during the week, we would advance it. So likewise, if it comes out on Friday, it would imply that we should advance. Mar Shmuel, bah. But Shmuel says, it says in it, v'chein tana debei Rabbi Shmuel, debei Shmuel, bah. And likewise, the Academy of Shmuel said on
It's
it.
the word "but" to the
Right.
Brisa.
Right, that's the point. Kitanai. And we see this machloket of Rav and Shmuel, okay, is similar to a machloket of Tanaim. Namely, it says as follows, Misargin l'Shabbatot. We interrupt the order of the Shabbos. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. That's the view of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer. He says, Ein misargin. We do not interrupt. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. What is he telling us? Eimatai ani omer ein misargin. When is it that I say that we do not interrupt? Bisman shechaliot be'erev Shabbat. On the occasion when Rosh Chodesh comes out on the Friday. Okay? Aval bisman shechaliot betoch Shabbat. But when the Rosh Chodesh comes out earlier than Friday, an earlier day of the week, right? Makdim, we advance it. V'korei mi Shabbat she'avra, afal pi shehu Shvat. Okay? And we read it from the on the Shabbos that's earlier, that's busy, even though that might be in the month of Shvat. Okay, right? Now, right, okay. Let's go on now. Back to our Mishnah. So the implication, by the way, is that Shmuel is parallel to Rabbi Shimon, and Rav is parallel to Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi in that argument. Okay. Coming back now to our Mishnah. Bishniya Zachor. Okay, so the second one would be Zachor. Itmar. On this it was said as follows, right? Purim Shachali Od Be'erev Shabbat. What happens if Purim comes out on Friday? Rav Amar Makdimin. Rav says we advance Parshat Zachor. Shmuel Amar Ma'achrin. And Shmuel says we wait and put it off afterwards. Okay? So that would mean, right, reading Parshas Zachor after Purim has occurred.
On Shushan Purim.
Well, it could be, right. That would be on Shushan Purim. If Purim comes out Friday, then it would be Shushan Purim. Okay. Well, we'll get to it in a second. Okay, but the question we're going to have is, okay, is the following. How is it possible, the Gemara is going to tell us, that if reading Parshas Zachor, okay, which is the way we're told to remember how to destroy Amalek, how is that possible to be done before the holiday? No, well, unless you need to do it before the holiday. I mispronounced. You need to do it before the holiday, okay, rather than after the holiday, even though his suggestion is to read it on Shushan Purim. Okay,
so that's going to be Rav's stance.
That's going to be step. So we'll see that in a second. So Rav's Amar Makdimin, he said to make it earlier, Parshas Zachor, Ushmuel Amar Ma'achrin. Now we see their rationale. Rav Amar Makdimin. Rav says we make it earlier. Ki hechedelo tikdom asiyah lezechira. How is it possible that we wouldn't advance the doing, the observing, to the remembering? In other words, remembering to destroy Amalek by reading Parshas Zachor. Ushmuel Amar Ma'achrin. And Shmuel says we make it later. Amarlach, and he would argue the following: Kevan deika mukafin da'avde b'chamisa. Since we have those walled cities where their observance of the holiday is on the 15th, okay? So it would be that, okay? Asiya v'zichira bahade hadade ka'achem. Okay, that namely the observance and the remembering, in other words, the reading of Parshas Amalek, right, of Zachor, right, would be done together. Okay, that's his argument. So the Gemara now tells us Tznan. We have another Mishnah that teaches right, Bishniya, which is ours, Bishniya Zachor. On the second one is supposed to be Zachor. Vahaki mikla reish yarcha b'Shabbat. Okay, and when right Rosh Chodesh comes, right, on that Shabbos, mikla Purim be'erev Shabbos, and Purim comes on erev Shabbos, right? Uktani b'shniya Zachor, and we teach then that it's right. Second is Zachor. Amar Rav Papa, says Rav Papa, my shnia. What do we mean here by shnia? Shnia lahafsaka. He argues Rav Papa that we mean it's the second, it's the interruption of a second Shabbos where no portion is read. Sorry? That skipped week. Right? Okay. Tashma. Listen to the following Brighton. Ezahu Shabbat Shniya. What is then that second right? Kol shechal Purim liot b'tocha. It's the week in which Purim falls out, so to speak. Ve'ilu be'erev Shabbat, and if it was to be, that's right there, va'afilu be'erev Shabbat, even, okay, if it's on Friday, my love erev Shabbat dumya de tocha, aren't we therefore saying then that if it comes out on erev Shabbos, it's similar if it comes out during the middle of the week? Ma tocha makdimin, af erev Shabbat makdimin. The same way then we would advance it if it comes out in the middle of the week. So we advance it if it comes out on Friday. Amar Shmuel ba. Again, Shmuel says include ba in it. Say on it. V'chein tana debei Shmuel ba. And likewise, the Academy of Shmuel taught.
Adds the book.
Okay. Chaliot b'Shabbat atzma. Okay, now we get another example.
If the 14th is on.
What happens if we've got the 14th on Shabbos and the 15th on Sunday? Okay, what's the situation? Amar Rav Huna, says Rav Huna, L'divrei hakol ein makdimin. According to everybody, says Rav Huna, we don't advance. V'Rav Nachman Amar, says Rav Nachman, Adayan hi machloket. Rav Nachman disagrees with Rav Huna, saying, no, there's still, I said he disagrees with Rav Huna, and he says there still is a machloket.
Rav and Shmuel still have
Okay? Itmar Nami. And it was said on this. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Abba Amar Rav, again in the name of Rav, Purim Shechaliot b'Shabbat. If the 14th for Purim comes out on Shabbos, Makdim, we advance, V'korei b'Shabbat she'avra Zachor. And we advance it to the earlier Shabbat, and that's when we read Zachor.
And that, by the way, Rav is the halakha.
And right, Rav would be the halacha. Okay. All right, let's go on. All right, now, new piece again from our Mishnah. Bishlishit para aduma. The third,
Special.
okay, a special reading is we said about the red heifer. Okay. Tanu Rabbanan, says a bright. Ezohi Shabbat Shlishit, which then is the third week. Kol shesmucha lepurim me'acharaha. That which is closest to Purim, immediately following. Itmar. And on this, the following was said. Rabbi Chama bar Chanina Amar. Rabbi Chama bar Chanina says as follows. Shabbat hasmucha leRosh Chodesh Nisan. He claims that it's the Shabbat that's closest to the Rosh Chodesh, the new start of the month of Nisan.
Which could be the next week.
Right? So we're going to see, what does the Gemara say? Are they really arguing or not? Okay? Because one said it's the Shabbos immediately following Purim. One says it's the Shabbos immediately before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So it could be a difference of 1 week. Okay? All right? All right?
Because that would mean it's the Shabbos of Purim and not the Shabbos before.
And not before Rosh Chodesh. Right? Okay, right? Velo pligi, he says. Now notice what we're going to say. Ha, de ikla Rosh Chodesh Nisan b'Shabbat. Here, it could be possible that Rosh Chodesh Nisan comes out on Shabbos. Ha de ikla be'emtza Shabbat. And here, in another situation, is when it comes out in the middle of the week. That's the difference. Okay. The Revi'it, what's the fourth occasion? HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. That's the reading that is supposed to come immediately before Rosh Chodesh Nisan.
Or immediately.
Okay. Tanu Rabbanan, a Braita teaches. Rosh Chodesh Adar Shechaliyot b'Shabbat. If Rosh Chodesh Adar comes out on Shabbos, right? Korin kitisa umaftirin biyahoyada. Okay, we read from the section of kitisa, and we do the haftorah in regarding to biyahoyada. The reason, right? Why that haftorah? Because it also deals with money collection. Okay. Ve'ezohi Shabbat Rishona. So therefore, what then is the first Shabbat week? Kol shechal Rosh Chodesh Adar liot b'tocha. It's a situation where Rosh Chodesh Adar comes out within that week, right? Va'afilu be'erev Shabbat, even if it comes out on that Friday. Now, b'shniya, on the second then, Zachor, that would be the reading for Zachor. Umaftarin pakadati, and we would do the haftarah of pakadati. Ve'ezohi Shabbat shniya. What then is the second week? Kol shechal Purim liot b'tocha, the week in which Purim itself is going to fall. Va'afilu be'erev Shabbat, and that includes even if it comes out on Friday. Okay, Bishlishit. And what about the third week? Para aduma, umaftarin v'zarakti alechem, right? That's the haftorah. Ve'ezohi Shabbat Shlishit. And what is the third week? Kol shesmucha lePurim me'achareha, that which follows after Purim, the closest, right? B'revi'it hachodesh hazeh, and on the fourth week, this month, umaftirin ko amar Hashem Elokim birishon be'echad lechodesh. Okay, is what it's saying. Ve'ezohi Shabbat Revi'it, and which then is the fourth week. Kol shechal Rosh Chodesh Nisan liot b'tocha va'afilu be'erev Shabbat. Okay,
This
then,
girl has a nice chart.
yeah, oh, that's good to hear,
That
thank you.
shows all the possibilities.
Billy's, okay, so keep in mind, what note is that? Is that in a note?
Page 30B1,
30B1,
at
okay,
the bottom of the page.
okay. All right, I'll make just a note on mine. Okay, could be, right, it could.
It's up to 4 weeks.
Okay,
It's
Bob, let's go on, new piece. B'chamishi, chozrin lekisidran. On the fifth week, according to the Mishnah, okay, we go back to our normal cycle of reading the Torah. Okay,
I want to just make a quick comment that when we have a special week, we do the weekly reading and then we do the special reading. They didn't do
okay.
the weekly.
All right, we're going to get to that. You're jumping ahead. Wait, we're going to get to it. Hold on. Okay. All right, you're jumping a little ahead there. Okay. Chozrin lekisidran. Okay. We go back to the normal pattern. Okay. Leseder, the pattern of what? All right. Rabbi Ami Amar, leseder parshiot hu chozer. He goes back to the normal order of reading the portions. So in other words, what does that mean? That means that in their time, okay, this is what Michael was alluding to. The normal order of weekly portions was omitted, and they only read the appropriate portion, okay, of those special Shabbatot, okay, right?
That's the 3-year cycle.
All right, well, we'll get to it in a second, okay? That's what we need to clarify, okay? Now, what happens? That's why he says, L'seder parshiot hu chozer. Rabbi Yirmiyah argues differently. Amar l'seder haftorot hu chozer. No, he understands it differently. Namely that normally we would read whatever was the weekly portion and then add the special portion, okay, as the reading for maftir, and then do a special haftir.
Which is what they did in Bavel.
Okay,
That's why they're
so right. So why is this significant? Again, it comes back to the question of who followed the 3-year cycle, who followed the 1-year cycle. Okay. Okay. Now we can come back. Okay. What happens? So that was the difference. All right. Who chose? Amar Abai. Abai says, Kivate de Rabbi Ami mistabra, that the opinion, okay, of Rabbi Ami seems logical. Ditnan l'kol mafsikin. Why? Because our Mishnah said for all, which would seem to imply, right, the parshas, we skip, we stop, we interrupt. Okay, namely the Roshei Chodashim, okay, the Chanukah, the Purim, the Ta'aniyot, the Ma'amadot, the Yom HaKippurim. Namely, from our Mishnah, we would say we would normally, on all those occasions, break the usual pattern of what would be read if any of those occasions came out, let's say on a Monday or a Thursday. We wouldn't read the normal week's Monday or Thursday reading. Instead, we would read the reading for that particular day, that particular event, that occasion. Okay? All right. So, what happens? Says the Gemara as we continue. Bishlema lamanda amar l'seda parshiot hu choser. That's acceptable to the one who says, Rabbi Ami, that we go back to the normal pattern of reading. Hainu de'ika parsha b'chol. As we read a section from the normal week's portion, okay, on a weekday. Ele leman da'amar l'seda haftarot hu choser. But according to the one who says the order of the Haftorah sections, okay, we read, okay, we go back, Haftorah b'chol mi'ika. Do we have a Haftorah on a weekday? Ve'idach, and further, ha kedeita, vaha kedeita. Here we have this, and here we have this. Ubeta'aniyot, lama li hafsaka. And in regarding a fast day, what kind of an interruption do we have here? Likre mitzafra be'inyana diyoma. On that day, we could read in the morning from the, I'm going to say, normal week's portion, okay? Ubemincha beta'anita. And in the afternoon, we could read the portion for the fast day, okay? Messiah the Rav Huna. This would then support the view of Rav Huna. Da'amar Rav Huna, as Rav Huna says, mitzafra kinufia. Okay, that in the morning we have a gathering. In other words, people would gather to hear the Torah reading. Okay, heichi avdinin. How would we do it? Amar Abai, says Abai, mitzafra lepalgia dioma. Okay, from the morning to midday, okay, of the day, ma'ayin ninan b'milei demata. They would indulge in the examination of what was going on in the town. Mipalgaya dioma, from the midday, lepnia, until the evening, riva dioma, a quarter of the day, kara, they would read the Torah, umaftare, and recite the appropriate haftorah. The riva dioma, ba'u rachme, and the other quarter of the day, they would pray for Hashem's rachamim, okay, because of the fast day. Shene Amar, as cited in the pasuk, Vayikra'u b'sefer Torat Hashem Elokeim, Revi'it Hayom, Urevi'it Hayom mitvadim u'mishtachavim. That would imply from the pasuk that you read a quarter of the day and that you daven and ask confession, etc., a quarter of the day. Ve'ipuch ana, and I reverse it, he says. Lo salka da'atach dichtiv. Don't even consider that. Yet we say, Keli yisafru kol hadar b'divrei Elohei Yisrael al ma'al hagola va'ani yoshev mishumam ad l'minchat ha'erev. Okay, in other words, do it in a different order. Okay, uktiv, and then it's written, u'b'minchat ha'erev kamti mit'aniti. Okay, then in the evening I would get up from my fast, implying that what they should do is, okay, daven, read daven, okay, and then in the afternoon they would deal with the business of the town. Okay, and that was the implication, right? So that the ta'anit should come first. All right, now, having gone into this whole long discussion back and forth of what is the practice in terms of reading, okay, on what occasions do we skip, not skip? Our new Mishnah is going to start again reviewing what is read in the Torah on various occasions. Matnitin b'Pesach ko'in b'Parashat Mo'adot shel Torat Kohanim. On Pesach, we read in that section that deals with the holidays from the book of Torat Kohanim. Okay, by the way, we all know that that's Leviticus, right? All right, otherwise known as Vayikra. Why do they call it here Torat Kohanim? Okay, because that was the rabbinic name of the book. All right, right, and that's where we get the name Leviticus. All right, because it was translated based on the rabbinic name into the Septuagint, the Greek, and into the Vulgate, into the Latin, and then translated into the English. The fact that it's called Vayikra is simply based on a different approach to how to name a book. Namely, the approach is called Principis, that they named a book after the major first term or words at the beginning of the book. Okay? That, by the way, applies to a number of all the books of the Torah. Okay, so that was just a side. Ba'atzeret, what about that holiday? Shiva Shavuot. We read about Shiva Shavuot. Berosh Hashanah, what do we read there? Bechodesh Hashvi'i be'echad lechodesh. We read that section. Art Scroll should have notes, I would believe, Koren didn't, but Art Scroll should have notes saying what is the actual specific psukim, right? Biyom Kippurim, Acharei Mot, we read that. Biyom Tov Harishon Shel Chag, first day of Sukkot, Korin b'Parashat Moadot Shebetorat Kohanim. Again, we read in that section of the holidays from Vayikra, from Leviticus, right? Ubashari Kol Yemot HaChag b'Korbanot HaChag. And the other days of Sukkot, we read all about the various offerings of Sukkot. B'Chanukah, on Chanukah b'Nesi'im, we read about the Nesi'im, the princes. The Purim, what? Okay. Avayavo Amalek, we read that. B'Roshei Chodashim, and on new months, U'Roshei Chadshechem, we read that section. U'B'ma Amadot, all right, B'Maaseh Breshit, we read about the section from the very beginning of Bereshis. B'Ta'aniyot, just go over a tiny bit, and on fast days, Brachot Uklalot, they read blessings and curses. But the Gemara of the Biur tells us what? Ein mafsikin b'klalot ela echad korei et kulan. Okay, we do not interrupt the curses, but one person reads them all. As we finish, b'sheni u'b'chamishi b'shabbat, okay, on the 2nd and the 5th, on Mondays and Thursdays of the week, b'mincha, and on Shabbat b'mincha, and on Shabbos and mincha, korin kisidran. We read the portion in its normal pattern. Ve'ein olim lahem min hacheshbon. And we don't count these as part of the cheshbon, as part of the number of those that would be read on Shabbos. Shene Amar, Vaidaber het Moshe et Moadei Hashem al Bnei Yisrael. Okay, mitzvatan sheyu korin kol echad ve'echad bizmano. Okay, that's where we'll pick up tomorrow. All right, to clarify the end of that section and then the new Gemara.
Don't forget about signing up. We'll call Bob.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't call me, come to me now.
Well, they gotta ask permission from their wives.
All right.
Well, or at least find out if their wives are going to come. Rabbi Hananya, somebody wants to say Kaddish, right? Rabbi Hananya ben Akashmir with Sekash Baruch Hu's Kodesh Yelficha Chabelim Terom Mitzvot. Shnei Amar and I Chafetz Man Sidko Yagdil to Rav Yadir. Amen.
So the CM is on Sunday.
Shmei Rabbi.
Amen.